Hey guys, I just watched episode 6 of Yellowjackets and we're going to try and get into a weekly review thing with this. I know I did just the first half of the series, but as I'm all tuned in and as the fans are so on this series, it's got such a great community and so much discussion around the lure and the theories and stuff. Let's go weekly, especially because I found out there's only 9 episodes in this series instead of 10. So literally, there's like 3 left from this point, which kind of will bring me to the main point of my review, which I will get into in a sec, because this episode was it wasn't like a bottle episode, a capsule episode, but it could verged on falling into that category in terms of it was all about Shauna's birth and all basically set within like her labour, then mixed with the flash forwards to the present day, as opposed to kind of running like several concurrent storylines with all the girls in the cabin. So I kind of wanted to come back again and discuss just like what I was discussing in my first video about how I so love the potential and what was promised of this series with the opening of season 1, and then they've very slowly, naturalistically teased us there and not got us to the point, anywhere near the point of that darkness, of that evil, and we're not seeing yet. There's still no clue. Well, there might be clues, but there's still definitely no clear plot development onto when it's gonna happen, who does it, and we just haven't really had a taste of that since that first episode, and I was talking a lot about that and how I really want to see more of that, and the fact that now this is I hadn't made my judgment yet, but now that I know that there's only 9 episodes, so 3 left from this point, if these last 3 episodes don't really ramp it up and don't really take us to some chaos and show us the darkness, I'll be quite disappointed. And I think that that's a bit of a letdown, because then so we've had 2 seasons which were 2 years apart, 3 years we've been following this, and we've never got to the point of the really exciting opening. We've never touched anything close to it, maybe Doom coming, but we've never got to that level of Lord of the Flies that it really was, and are we now going to wait another year, 18 months to get the chance to see that again? So I'm watching with very strict judgmental eye the next few episodes, because if they don't amp up to the chaos, then I will not be giving this series a star. I think they should do flash forwards, actually. Obviously we have all of the flash forwards 25 years in the future. I think we should get some more mysterious flash forwards to the evil, of when the girls descend into this cult Lord of the Flies chaos, and it could all still be very mysterious, because in that opening their identities were all covered. The only person we did see was Misty. We just know she was involved. We know she wasn't the Antler Queen, and we don't know who was the Antler Queen. We don't know who was Pit Girl. I love these names that people have come up with for all these things we saw in the opening, so we could have some more mysteriousness and just more of a taste of that. This show is marketed as a horror thriller, so give us the horror thriller. I do think they're getting there naturalistically, and I am excited to see some the things that they've baked in. For example, they keep focusing on the teacher, obviously the really gorgeous football coach, who flies out with all the girls and is meant to be looking after them, and I think he's anything from he's 28 to 35 or something, I can't quite tell, obviously much older, and obviously in that situation he'd usually be the hero, and there are lots of directions they could go with his character, but as you all know, in the opening he loses his leg and he's had to be pretty much invalid, and now you can see when they finally did do that little bit of cannibalism, the bit, not the opening, but the when they for survival ate Jackie, which was a great scene. I probably should have mentioned that in my other video with the mirroring scene of them at the Greek banquet, and I'm vegan, but Jackie looked tasty, literally, they made it look absolutely delicious, as they were gobbling on her. He's the only one looking shocked, not joining in, And I just think that like he's having all these flashbacks to his life and like drifting off, like, you know, disassociating. And so I think the idea is that they might target him, you know, which I think is going to be pretty fascinating if that does happen. I know a lot of other people pick up a lot of like clues and theories and things, which isn't usually how I watch a TV series, but I've done it a little bit with this one. So I kind of want to share one of my theories, which is that I think potentially like the Antler Queen and maybe like the key to kicking off all the evil, I think it could actually be Natalie, and I think that would be a great kind of twist, because the Natalie character, in the past as a teenager, she's so likable. They picked such a pretty actress. She's really great as well. The actress has got really good this series. Like, she's really acting the cold with like her swollen lips. She's the only one that's physically doing that, like physically like changed her lips and the way she talks and all of that. And so she seems great. And then in the future, she's like, Juliette Lewis like plays her like particularly like bitter and particularly like haggard, to the point where I'm like, I really don't see it. It's not like the same person. They don't gel. And we've lost such a kind of charismatic character for somebody who seems so kind of like jaded and haggard. It almost doesn't really work. But then there's a line, obviously there was the attempted suicide attempt at the end of last series, and then there was a line that Juliette Lewis says where she's like, it's such a great line, I wish I'd come up with it. Like, we did everything we could, anything we could to survive. And then at the end of it, you know, we realised, did we deserve to survive? And I just think it would be great if all that gnarly, twisted bitterness has happened because her soul has been so twisted, because she hates herself so much. She's got so much self-hatred because of what she did. And it's Natalie is the one that actually kicks off the evil, bullying Lord of the Flies, and is the one that, like, creates, like, the pit girl and all these things. So I really kind of hope that we see that happen, you know. I think maybe it's possible. That's just like a theory. This whole review has been just like theories. So the episode was, I think it was good. Like, so basically I'm going to get into it quite quickly. All the adults have now met up at Lottie's Coles, and the episode ends on that note. So I think that's going to be fascinating to see that play out, and I think that's a big improvement on last series, where we're just kind of introduced to these four characters and they don't really know what they're doing with the storylines, and the storylines don't quite connect. I think now they're in the cult, it's going to be very interesting, and I really like Lottie's performance, adult Lottie's performance. That's the only maybe adult character that I'm kind of really enjoying, that I think is almost like worth having in the series. And yeah, I'm going to be very intrigued to see like what happens with them there. And then I think we wrapped up the Shauna murder storyline, and she's okay now. She's off the hook with the cops. So that's good that we're kind of moving on from that. And what we did was we learned a lot about like why she is the way she is with her daughter, because the bulk of the episode is her in labour and with this baby. It was building up to her pregnancy. There were so many ideas, and I didn't think the baby was going to die. I thought it was somebody in the future for sure. Actually, when somebody suggested who it was, I thought it would definitely be that person, but that person was a girl, so it wasn't her. In fact, I can probably say it now. I won't say it just in case, like, next episode Lottie revives the baby or something. So I'll just keep it like, you know, as a little teaser, because I would never want to spoil anything for anyone. So she loses the baby. So we just kind of have like a dramatic, emotional episode. I think the dream sequence is great, where you think the baby has survived. And then that was a shock. I did not expect that. And it only started to get weird and twisted when Natalie comes in and is like, aren't you going to show us the baby? Okay. And like she's a really great actress, like, oh, because that really creeped me out, that line, the way she was like, okay. I was like, what is going on? Like, what have they done? And then it turns out it was all like sequence, and like the days haven't passed and she lost the baby like in labour. I personally just kind of find storylines about motherhood like a bit boring, and a bit weird, because like I love The Handmaid's Tale, but even in The Handmaid's Tale, I don't like when the handmaids get pregnant, when the characters get pregnant. So that episode didn't really get me. I don't want kids. It didn't really like move me that much. Actually, I shouldn't say that. It did get me, because like she went through one of the worst things a human can go through. So emotionally and like empathetically, of course, grief is a terrible thing. Like, of course, I'm fully there with her in that way. I just like, it kind of develops it. It wraps up the baby storyline, and like that's all. I just didn't really like invest too much in that storyline, and now like that storyline's wrapped up. So it was great acting, but that's kind of that, you know. And I'm just really excited to see next week, and I think that they are going to amp it up. I think somebody suggested they're going to eat the baby's corpse, which I don't think would happen because TV never usually would show something like gruesome happening, and horror happening with like an infant. Um, but I think like if one of them suggests it, maybe that's who becomes Pit Girl. Who knows? Could I be wrong? Could I be right? Let's tune in next week to find out. So yeah, great discussing this show. I'm sorry I'm not as clued up as everybody else. I'm going to get more clued up, and I'm super excited for episode 7. I think it's going to be the wildest one yet. So stay safe in the woods.